Howdy guys, what's up, man? You're probably wondering what's up with the hat. I'll tell you about it here in a second. But yeah, I wanted to start off with my chess because I want to give some feedback on raids, man. This has got to be the worst raids. This has got to be the worst part of MCOC for 2025. Can it get worse? Well, we're going to see that we have a couple of months still left in the year, but this has to be the worst item given to the players. And the way Kabam has conducted themselves and responded to us, pretty bad too, I would say, man. But here's my chest. We'll take a look at the chest that I got. So the fragment that I got there formed the fully formed catalyst, which I think I was pretty good RNG. The second reward was a fully formed catalyst as well. Instead of getting fragments, I guess that feels a little bit better. And my final chest was, I know what it is, but I'm gonna wait for it to show up so you can see it. Some shards. So half a 7-star crystal. I think when it comes to RNG, again, based on the chest, I got pretty good. I think I've seen some like some, what are those, Valiant crystals that Kabam had put in the chest too, 10 of them. That's probably got to be the worst unless you get like extremely lucky and then get a 7-star out of it. But the chances, and because of the percentages off those crystals, are really low. I would suggest maybe pulling those out or converting them into like Nexus Valiant crystals, because they do exist, I believe. I think they were available in some kind of event, so having those give you at least a Valiant Nexus option to choose between, you know, 3 champions when you open those. I mean, and I'll say this because of the punishment and effort that it actually takes to do and run raids right now. It's incredibly difficult. It's not easy. It's not going to be something available for like fairly new players or growing players or players that are wanting to attempt nightmare raids. You need to have a well-established alliance, communications, actually know what you can do in certain fights. So this is a must, man. And so I put these clips because I already showed some clips about the Korg fight with my Angela, because that's who I took. And it's just Angela was doing good for Weapon X and decently for Korg. I just didn't have the best champion, at least on my path, to be able to really help, and that sucked. Okay, because I'll talk about that right now, and I'll show you guys basically what most of the alliance and battle groups did in their participation. And that also sucks because Kabam ended up putting this together, launching this, and I know a lot of questions I'm seeing it all across different platforms are like, dude, Kabam, and asking them directly, and yet they're yet to respond. I have not seen a single respond, even though I'm not looking or searching for one. But I have not seen where Kabam says, yes, we tested this, or X, we went ahead and tested this, and not. But I haven't seen that. So here you see me going in against this APOC multiple times. It's just I can't do the damage. Part of it, 2 things I would say. One of them is going to be my fault because I haven't never practiced fighting in Apocalypse, meaning like his special 1, special 2 dexing, like perfectly dexing. It's not a champion that we see come across in nodes or like battlegrounds or alliance war where we need to know how to dex his specials and special 1s. It's just not a thing, right? Because he's only 6-star now, so it's all about 7 stars. So when it comes to 7 stars, we really don't see him. Now, if he does come out as a 7-star, I'm sure we're going to see him more often. But right now we don't. And so because of that, like me having Angela and not doing any damage with her, because her ramp up, and just by the time he's like, I'm available to do the damage, it just wasn't happening. It was just a fiesta of like revives and resources and just items being punched into this APOC. So that wasn't fun. That's not fun. And here is what ended up happening, and I think this is kind of what's happening across. I mean, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, especially the people that applied or went and attempted raids. This is kind of what ended up happening here. So we're gonna see, I'm gonna show you like a little bit behind the scene of our let me see here really quick, of our battle groups. So we ended up clearing this, but here's the problem. Our alliance ended up clearing this with the cost of cash. Players ended up spending money to clear raids, nightmare raids. And if that's not cool. And one of the things, that's the reason why that's not a right thing, or even a like a fun game mode or something, that is because prior to this, regular raids, it cost nothing to do. It was just, you have your resources, you go in there and you knock it out, and most of us were able to knock it out within like the first 24 hours, you know, and you have the whole week to chill, but also consume some really good rewards. And I'm sure Kabam's purpose of raids wasn't for that to be the case. They probably wanted players to kind of spread it out over a week, maybe 4 days, if that. But let me show you here really quick. So here is our battle group, the one I'm in, and if you can see, the Purgatories, the Ironmans are the ones that put up most of the points. And a big shout out to the players here, the teammates here in the battle group, for literally taking on that weight, okay, and then pushing it through the battle groups. But if you see a pattern across like the different battle groups, you're gonna see Purgatories and Ironmans literally just being the champions to take down orgs, to take down Apocalypse. Everybody else, you know, we all try to do our thing for the other champions, or even Weapon X. But if you look again, third battle group, you know, DFW putting up 159 million points. He literally carried the entire battle group 3. If you see, like, comparing to other battle groups, you know, here we had the real RSO 96, almost 100,000 points in nightmare raids. And that it doesn't come with you literally not spending money or buying resources. Why? Because they're just depending on the one champion, Purgatory, to do the damage. So you just go ahead and revive it, go back in, and they're the ones doing the most damage. So obviously it felt like, hey, you know, it sucked because they see they're doing the most damage, and it was like, dude, I'm doing like, I spend like 5 revives and I barely do the damage you do with 1 revive. You do 1 revive, you take, like, you know, a couple of percentages off the champion, the defender. I do 5 revives, I don't even take 1% off. So that right there was an unbalance. And Kabam might even look at this and be like, okay, well, maybe we need to kind of nerf Purgatory, she's taking too much damage. Or maybe we find a balance of actually other champions that are allowed to be able to help and take damage, so that way the team that's involved per battle group can take a champion in there that does equal damage, and it's not just falls on one person or 2 people because they brought the champion. And not also, and here's the other thing, they brought the champion, but what if they didn't bring the champion? Ooh, excuse me there. But what if they didn't bring the champion? What if you were in a battle group that didn't bring those champions and no one brought a Purgatory, and now you're just kind of like, well, what do we do? We can't. And you know, you just pretty much give up at that point, because there's not one champion that's doing enough damage for the battle group to clear nightmare raids. It was really bad, at least in my perception, my take, and my experience of battlegrounds of raids when it comes to this. Now I know I say battlegrounds too because I'm thinking battlegrounds, but I know we're having a bit of a boycott with the battlegrounds and the buff and stuff like this. This obviously is tied into it a little bit, but it's really, I would say the focus of this is the worst so far for 2025. I don't want to say forever, but for 2025, it's got to be the worst implementation of a node, and giving out to the players, and for the players to just kind of give feedback to Kabam and just catch the issues. It felt like we were in there and testing. Obviously, we ended up testing because we went in there to fight the champions, and then we reported saying, hey, Weapon X is bug, Korg is bug. Like, what's going on? This APOC is way too powerful, the combination of nodes you have. And so then they're like, oh yeah, okay, and writing stuff down and how they're going to change it for the next round. But come on, do something right now. And unfortunately, Kabam gave us 7 revives. That is nothing when you're tossing 2, 3, 4 revives in like less than a minute, because you end up dying because of the damage back you're taking from Korg, because you can't do any type of damage on the Weapon X because it was just regenning and you had to force quit or quit out. Like, that is to the point where it's just like I know I might even say like, are they not experiencing raids themselves? But that is not the case, and this is why this is not the case. We have here Kabam Rex, which is Kabam Mike. He is in For Loki, and a question was asked. Okay, he didn't come out and say, because I saw the screenshot. I actually saw the screenshot of this was shared to me, and I was like, wait, what? For Loki's doing Nightmare raids and has not had any issues thus far. Purgatory and Kitty have been MVPs. I've been chatting with the folks in charge of raids to see any issues went unaccounted for. So when I saw that, I was like, whoa, like it, and it was presented to me like, oh, he's saying that For Loki's doing just fine, but it's not that he brought up For Loki. Somebody was asking, is For Loki not doing Nightmare raids? Are you sure? Are you not seeing these issues with Korg just for yourself? What are you and For Loki Alliance mates saying? So here is the question and here's the response, okay? Because the way I saw it was like, okay, yeah, Kabam employees do play the game, but did they test, these specific employees test the node? It looks to me like from this response, Kabam Rex was not part of the testing of raids. Whether they didn't give it to him or that's not his department, looks like it's not his department. And like I said, I don't know how the insides of Kabam MCOC actually, the Kabam specifically Marvel Contest of Champions works, and so this to me, honestly, just in general, from our experience, your experience, is that it wasn't tested. Like, they did not look into these champions, the nodes and the interactions, or the person that tested did a very light breeze test just to make sure that the champions weren't bugged or something completely off, but they didn't go into the fight itself to like experience everything. And here's the other part is like, this information right here where Kabam Mike or Kabam Rex was giving the players in the community there in the forums, like, hey, Purgatory and Kitty works. Like, that information in detailed, wish we could have known at least in anticipation. I know, like, the players need to go out and test and figure out on their own, but if we can't even complete and it costs us tickets, which means resources, which means whether you're buying them through loyalty or whatever you're using to convert resources to tickets, and then you're using units, we need a little bit more information, of going in blind. This is not something we can bring in multiple champions. The revives cost 200 units per revive. They're not cheap, and so this whole thing is a mess, man. It was done so bad. I'll share with you guys, I was asking for and it didn't happen because we're at the end of raids now, and raids is going to be over here in just like 20 minutes. And obviously it didn't happen. I was asking for a lift on the cost of revives. Just give free revives for gold or something, like lift the cap. Don't like, at least for this round of raids where there were so many issues, don't just compensate the players with 7 revives. Lift the entire thing and let the players just go in there and just bring it down. They already put in the cost with tickets. Those are not coming back. At least we're seeing that right now. Those the resources that they put in are not coming back. The units they spend, let them at least clear the entire map, and just go in there. And yes, they're going to be dying and dying and dying, but try to do as much damage as they possibly can and get the payout for their placement, for their prestige, for where they're at. It's bad, guys. And then combined with what's going on right now with MCOC and the players that are very unhappy with not just the rewards now more things are coming to light. Specifically, Nightmare raids is a good anchor to the fact that players are unhappy, because we get presented these things that are very bad, extremely bad, and we have nothing to say, nothing to do or respond to. Right here, I want to give you guys some tie you in with some background information. You might have not known this, but we have a couple of whales inside MCOC. You might know these names and might not, and this didn't happen immediately because of what's going on now, but it happened because of how Kabam conducts themselves to the player base. This was their reason to quit the game. And so if you're thinking, hey, the whales are not doing anything, they're still spending, they're still participating, and they're still doing their thing, let me give you a glimpse into Killer B's account. He was one of the first. You might be like, okay, there's multiple rank 4s, but no, he was one of the first players to have multiple rank 4s from the banquet event. He came across the banquet event, and he was actually in a big alliance that competed actively, and he decided, I'm done. And it was because it was back then when Kabam nerfed the Alliance War power back. They didn't get any pushback from the community, from the content creators. Now I can't lead or talk about like, hey, like, let's push back against Kabam. Why? Because I don't even play Alliance War. It didn't affect me and it doesn't affect me, but player like Killer BB did play Alliance War, and one of his favorite toys inside MCOC was Corvus, and he took up Corvus to rank 4, and it was an immediate effect to him, and he was just like, I'm done with this company. I'm no longer feeding them my monies and playing the game that they want me to play, because they just go and change one thing after another. So he was one of them. Okay, guys, if you're just thinking like, no, the mega whales are not doing their thing, to step back. Magus, a lot of you guys in the deeps of MCOC, if you've been around and you're just very active with the community, know Magus as well. And he, as you can see, has multiple, even more rank 4s. And again, he had 3, if not a lot of rank 4s at the beginning of at the end of the banquet event. He was one of the top spenders for the banquet event. He ended up calling it quits. He says, I'm done. He's had a long ride with MCOC, years. We're talking like the 9-10 years with the company, and Kabam doing these decisions that do not support the players and just change things. Again, having to do with Alliance War. No one's talking about Alliance War. And why? Because most of the people, unfortunately, that do have a voice, and when it comes to channels like this, love Alliance War. And it's just a game mode that they enjoy, you know, and for them, they're figuring it out, they're working around it. But these players are just like, we're done. We're not wanting to figure it out and work around it. Why did you change it? Just leave it as is. You've had it as is for years. Why would you want to decide to change it now? So if you think the whales are not quitting, the players are not quitting and not spending or stopping their spending because they're not upset, here's proof to you guys that they are. So if you're just like an average spending player and you're just not happy, or you're seeing things and you're just like, you know what? Yeah, I am actually not happy with what's going on with the game at the moment. Battlegrounds, you know, a lot of people are just tied behind Battlegrounds reward. And that's kind of, to me, the beginning of the boycott was because of that. And it was a couple of content creators making videos saying they're not going to spend because of the rewards in Battlegrounds. But it progressively got bigger, and now it's like, hey, we're noticing this XYZ, all these little issues that the game hasn't been really worked out to. Like we're not seeing any change, any communication. But and in one way, you know, and even when it comes to like the argument of like, hey, Kabam says like, hey, we can't buff rewards too much because of the economy of the game. I don't 100% believe that, because you're willing to sell resources, and that affects the economy of the game. So if a player chooses to buy the resources for $50, for $100, they're still bumping up the economy of the game. So better, I guess, way to say it is like, we don't want to give out free resources for you playing the game, because then you won't buy the resources we want to sell you. Maybe that's the economy of the game we're talking about. We're seeing two different sides. And again, remember when I said this about MCOC and Kabam in a video ago, is that our alignments are not aligned. Kabam's focus is here, our player and fun and playing the game focus is over here. And we're just too far away from each other. We want to have fun. We want to enjoy the game. We want to get new champions and rank them up and play game modes that reward us for playing the game modes, whether it's AQ, raids, battlegrounds. But what we're seeing is when those get presented to us, they're broken, and then also the rewards behind them don't get changed, don't get worked into, so that we feel we're getting rewarded for playing the game mode, for playing the game. We then get more presented a cash offer for you to buy. And because the rewards are so, compensations are so low, the cash offers seem more enticing, and you rather just spend the $50 or $100. It's always been said is like, hey, why play competitive battlegrounds, competitive alliance war, competitive AQ, when you can just wait for the offer, spend $100 to $500, and be up there with the guys that are competing consistently day in and day out. And that's probably, it's got to change, or it's got to balance. Like, like toss the offers that you toss every single day to the players, which we're seeing. Even I'm sure today, I think I saw a notification for for Titan shards, 5,500, $50. And then we have 3,000 of these, and this has a multiplier of 5 times. Like, if you think about like the amount of money Kabam wants us to spend on a weekly, monthly events, quarterly moments, like, it is crazy expensive. Like, I mean, some people are really well off and are able to keep this expense and hobby very high, where their credit card MCOC bill or debit card MCOC bill is like thousands of dollars a month. Most players, average players, older players that have a job, that have some kind of like income coming in, are able probably to spend a couple of dollars, maybe $100 a month. But man, they try to get everybody, and that's the problem. Or maybe it needs an alignment. Some rewards like these need to be put into the game more consistently and sell us some items, and I understand probably the sales will not be as great as they are now, but if this boycott continues and it stays strong, your sales are not going to be good, because we are now realizing, and we're getting smarter, we're talking about it, the fact that you're not putting these deals in for us to play and get and earn for just playing the game. Yeah, guys, raids was rough. I hope they decide to test whatever changes they're going to put in, because I know changes should be coming, and compensations should be coming, and whether we get next round of raids for free, I don't know. Something needs to give to be and just win over the community, the player base again. And this is not just the top of the top. This is across the board, everybody, guys. We're having major issues. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Another long-winded video, and it feels like we're just complaining, but we have to complain. If we don't talk about this, Kabam goes pretty much like, hey, they're fine. No one's complaining. I guess the game is fine. There's no issues at the moment. So we need to speak up, guys. So hopefully this is helping players get their word out. Help it when people drop videos like these. Put it in the comments. Put your thoughts, because Kabam is going out right now actively watching these videos, reading the comments, reading the forums, reading the Discord. So wherever you can get your voice out, put it out there. They're not looking. And so, yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. Take care. See you guys soon. Peace. Oh, what do you think of the hat? Pretty cool, huh? I put it because Deadpool's riding a horse too. That was the whole point, and I got it as a gift. So we're gonna wear it as much as we can, and then it's gonna go in the box and it's gonna get stored, unfortunately. Peace.